Hello and welcome. My name is John Hobby. Today we are showcasing the wonderful top hat and cane poker chips made by Paulson. We're going to start out as we normally start out with a little Texas Hold'em. So grab two cards off the top of your deck at home. And because we're dealing with Paulsons, we're going to use some New York cards. You remember back in the old days when they used to shoot them, meaning they'd drill a hole through them? Oh dear. Those days. Was that even in Vegas? I don't even remember if that was Vegas or Reno. I just remember there were decks with holes in them. I have no idea about any of that, actually. I just remember it. So weird memories coming to you at weird times. All right, let's see what we have here. We're going to burn a card here. We'll flop. Kind of an interesting flop there. Look, they're apples. You see that? Instead of hearts, they're apples. Wow, rainbow right there. Pair of nines. And somebody has a full house. Somebody will have four of a kind. Read the comments. Hope you guys had a pair of nines, pocket nines or pocket fours. All right. Well, enough of that. Let's get rid of these cards and let's talk about these chips. This is a showcase. These are not part of the Great Poker Chip Adventure. They have been fired. They were going to be part of it, but they discontinued them. And that opens up a whole can of worms, but we might as well talk about that right now since there is no structure to this, since this isn't part of the Great Poker Chip Adventure. Let me show some chips while I'm yakking here. You can see the beautiful blue one. Rich navy blue here. Now, I imagine that Paulson is filling casino orders, right? And so they will have many orders for different casinos going up in the United States right now. And I can understand if they shut down a couple of these production lines for those casinos. Additionally, there has been a little bit of pressure in the past decade to get these poker chips away from lead, meaning we're trying to get lead content out of these chips. And that's understandable. Is it pretty low risk? Yeah, it's pretty low risk. So not terribly worried about it, but that is something that may influence Paulson. Hopefully they come back to the consumer market and hopefully they bring their new lead-free formulation to the poker chips, right? And there's always going to be some guru out there who says, well, they're called checks because in casinos, the casino has to guarantee the value of these, and so by definition, they're checks. All right, yes, I'll give you that. But in the case of this review, they're poker chips, all right? Poker chips can be checks the same way a piece of paper can be a check, right? It's still a paper check, even though it is a check, even though the bank will guarantee the value of that check. For example, like a cashier's check, all right? So some terminology there and some things to look for while I'm showing these chips. They get wonderful progression out of these chips. So you can see how there are two edge marks right here, and notice this circle inlay, and notice this star burst inlay here, and then you have triangle and little line edge marks. It's just amazing, the progression through these chips. Not to mention the shiny, I'm not sure if it's going to show up, but there are these shiny features embedded in this chip. It's just absolutely wonderful. The square edges, the edge marks. So hopefully, like I said, they'll bring Paulson's back to the consumer market at this level. These are incredibly tightly controlled quality chips. I mean, the quality control is super tight, super amazing chip, all right? You can see part of the stamping here. There's the Paulson top hat and cane, and then there are the suits right there. Wonderful, wonderful chips. Now, when you go to Las Vegas or various other casinos, when you have these clay, compression molded clay chips, you'll notice that some of them are not quite this ornate even. Casinos are more interested, obviously, in security rather than looks. So they'll sacrifice a little bit of the looks if they can get a really secure chip, especially in the large denominations. They'll put like RFID and various other things, security features into the chip. Look at this Cog Style Inlay right here. The inlay is very interesting when you're talking about a Paulson, because when the chip is still warm, they'll actually embed this inlay in there, stamp it in there, and then they'll fill it. So it's actually embedded in the chip so it doesn't peel out. These are the nicest inlays ever. Sad to see these go. And all this fluorescent color that they use glows in ultraviolet light. I'll take a picture, but my camera won't do it justice. I mean, you have to see it in real life. It's pretty amazing. Here's the 25. Pretty dark, rich green here. Concave burst pattern here. And you can see it's not perfect. There are little imperfections there. People say the same thing about the edge marks. Oh, they're not perfect. Indication of what? Compression molded clay. Simply wonderful, wonderful chips. Look at these square edges. And one of the reasons why these are not in so many reasons why these are not in the Great Poker Chip Adventure, these are no longer being produced. So they're no longer a stock chip as of, what is it now, April 2015. So that means these are not readily available. And the whole point of the Great Poker Chip Adventure is to showcase chips that are readily available for the mass market, that are not custom chips, meaning stock chips that people can purchase. And finally the one, again, interesting pattern, blue ones. I really like blue ones. So that's the main reason why it's not in the Great Poker Chip Adventure. Discontinued, sadly. And these are, and in other videos I talk about, oh, if you want this or that, you have to go to a custom chip. Well, these are one of the few things that are nicer than custom chips. Maybe I can demonstrate that here. Let's spread those out here, splash those down. And let's look at this here, okay? So these are some custom chip samples. I'm going to make a series about customizing poker chips. And when you're talking about like clay style chips, it's really hard to compete with Paulson quality control and just the manufacturing process and the colors and the dyes that they have. Like, you compare these 100s, for example, all right? Or I guess technically on a custom chip, that might just be considered a black chip, right? But look at the difference here. Okay, my camera is not doing this justice. These are really bright, vivid orange colors right here, and these are really faded. I might have to take a picture to really capture the colors here, but through my viewfinder, it's not doing it close to justice. The color difference between these chips. Now let's see if I can get a better example here. Here we go. The yellows, all right? Again, the camera doesn't do it justice, but the Paulson, Top Hat, and Cane are just night and day vivid. Almost obscene vivid when you're talking about colors. That is yellow. This is just like, I don't know what that is. It's compared to a Paulson, it's not yet. It's just some sort of faded cream or something. I don't know. So they really do set the standard for quality control and design, color combinations, progression of edge marks, progression of inlays, the quality of the inlay, world class. And that's why many, many high-end casinos use Paulsons, all right? So these are one of the few chipsets that blew away the custom market, all right? That's just how it is. And the inlays can't compete either when you're talking about any sort of inlay. And that brings us to the discussion about materials. Our quality control is superb design, superb as far as I'm concerned, best I've ever seen, all right? The best, just the best quality control, the best design, but materials are kind of lacking. And this is one of my criticisms against Paulson, maybe the company, not the chips, all right? People are like, how can you criticize Paulsons? I understand. Like I just said, as far as quality control and design, they're the best for any sort of clay, anything resembling a clay chip, all right? But the company, now this has to be addressed, and I'm here to educate the consumer. That's why I make these videos. One of the problems with Paulson is the transparency that they have on the materials that are used in the making of these chips, all right? So do these chips contain lead? It doesn't clearly say, right? PGI, the company that bought out Chipco, right? They're Tiki ceramics, or any ceramic made by the Chipco brand or PGI, right? All their ceramics, and it says on their website, our ceramics are 100% lead free. Thank you. Yes, that's an example of a company that cares about their consumers and are willing to publish information like that, take on the liability and say, yes, we've tested these, they're lead free. Okay, I really like companies that do that. Paulson, maybe no fault of their own. I mean, the company is geared to making large amounts of chips for casinos that are very secure, all right? Not the whole company wasn't built around the consumer market. So I can understand how they are still kind of scratching their heads like, well, that's not our main market. Who cares? So maybe it's just the nature of their main clientele, all right? And as far as to their big clients, maybe they do disclose the materials and exactly what % of what material is used in these, but it's just not open to the public for the consumer chips, all right? So a little criticism about the materials and the company, that transparency there. The other concern we have is with transparency, why aren't they telling everybody what's going on with their chips? It's just like a little child, right? Who's like, I'm taking my ball with me, right? They're like, well, we're going to discontinue these. We're not saying why. How hard is it to have a little bit of hire somebody for $30,000 a year to do some customer relations? Come on, people, consumer advocates, are out there everywhere. Just like, come on, Paulson, GPI. Why don't you just share something with the consumer? Share your plans for chips in the future. Let us know 6 months in advance or a year in advance that you're going to discontinue these after another year of production. Is that so hard to do? Like I said, they're catering towards the casinos, not the end consumer like you and me. So I'm just going to level that criticism against them. Other criticisms about these chips. Now, you've seen on many of my videos, I break chips, right, left and right, and I crank on them. I'm not hesitant to really crank on these, right? And you can see this one flexes, but they don't break. It's amazing. They're elastic, trying to break this, and it's not breaking, all right? So they're very durable, and they feel good. But some of the other material issues that we have is this is pretty soft material, all right? So the edges, now if you've been to a casino and you've played with Paulsons a lot, I'm not going to destroy one of these, but you'll notice that the edges do chip pretty easily. Really small chips, you know what I mean? Like throwing them out on craps table, like you grab your free odds bet, you throw it into the come area, and you're like, they hit pretty hard, and sometimes you'll notice little dings, right? The other place that seems to wear a lot, like my dad has a set of these, on these little corners, like on the top hat and cane right here, sometimes those will get nicked, and those seem to wear out slightly. So it's just not as crisp as it used to be. Like, I think it's just edges, like I said, when you toss chips around, sometimes they'll nick those edges right there. And so they'll wear down. The benefit of that is top hat and cane, well, Paulsons in general have really sharp edges, all right? Just really flat, which makes them slightly difficult to shuffle. Oh, but man, they feel nice. They feel nice when you push these together. Just that, people describe it as a chalky feel. I can see where they're coming from with that, but chalk, it seems like it's more aggressive than this. It just has a really nice, for lack of it's kind of cliche, but it feels like clay, right? Like a really fine clay just grinding together, It's like the difference between like 1,000 grit sandpaper and 400 grit sandpaper. That's one of the problems I have with companies that try to mimic the chalky feel, like with custom chips here again. I'm ordering sample sets, gearing up for that series as well. But a lot of these feel a little too coarse, you know what I mean? And a lot of these, and a lot of custom chips, I'm not saying these in particular, but I'm doing research, and a lot of the custom chips use bronze. Or is it brass? I think it's brass. Either way, they use something that has lead content in it anyway. So it's like even the custom chips have lead problems. And some companies will disclose that and some don't, but that's subject for a future series of videos that are coming in the future. All right. And again, you can see the pink in the shade here. It really, again, it's hard to capture the beautiful colors associated with these chips. So as far as the way these feel, superb. Again, the best clay style chip I've ever felt. Better than plastic, better than any of the custom chips, the Milanos. I might as well roll some of those in. better than any chip I've ever felt. The clay, I mean, obviously, I find it difficult to compare clay chips to ceramics. They're just completely different materials, completely different. And if you ask me which one I prefer, it would vary on the day. I get sick of playing with these, and every now and then I grab ceramics. I'm like, oh, those feel nice. You know, oh, why don't I play with ceramics more often? And then you play with these for long enough, then you get back to a Paulson, and it's just, oh my goodness, I missed this. So, you know, I'm all for variety. There you have it. Now, my other complaint about these is the cost, right? You're talking about $1.25 plus per chip. So if you want, you know, 500 chips, that's, you know, $750 or whatever, plus shipping, you know, you're out $800 for one set of poker chips. So it was cost prohibitive. And you can find some used, usually online. Casino chips as well. I mean, you can find all sorts of used Paulsons online. But, man, I just like, sometimes I forget I'm making videos, I just like playing with these things. Gosh, they're so nice. Now, the competition here, maybe I should wrap up materials here real quick. The materials are world-class and unmatched. The only thing that matches them are competitive options, which I'm going to get to right now. The biggest competitor to a Paulson, you guessed it, Paulsons, right? Paulson Classic versus Paulson Top Hat and Cane. There's a variety. They used to make Pharaohs, the Isle of Isthmus or whatever, the fantasy casino ones. Anyway, like I said, you can also usually buy some used casino chips from casinos that have shut down or various other things. Oh, one more thing I should talk about in materials. Something that I usually don't talk too much about in the Great Poker Chip Adventure, oiling chips. Okay, this is a pretty trendy thing. A lot of people who are familiar with these, maybe I should start with a story about oiling chips. All right, I think I have some examples here. Let's see if I can roll some in. All right, Milanos. When you play with poker with women a lot, all right, they are actually aware of the feeling of their skin. They actually pay attention to stuff like that. And they complain like, oh, these chips dry my fingers out. And so what do? They put lotion on, right? What does that lotion do to your chips? Can you see the difference here? The ones on the left are all shiny, and the ones on the right are all powdery and kind of chalky, right? Can you see the difference there? It's amazing, right? What a little lotion does to poker chips. And to prevent that in the first place, and because people say they look better, oiled, people will take laxative oil, which is just mineral oil. And you can get like baby oil, which is mineral oil. I mean, mineral oil is mineral oil. It doesn't matter, however they package it. And they'll, put a light coat of mineral oil on here. Okay, is that better than lotion? Probably. With lotion, especially women's lotion, it smells like women, all right? Whatever brand, whatever product they're using, that's what your chips will smell like. Is that a bad thing? Maybe some of you would dislike that. I don't mind, all right? So, should you oil your chips? In my humble opinion, I don't like to oil my chips. I tried oiling, I actually oiled a few of these, not these in particular, but I did oil some of my Milanos, just a stack, I think, of 25, and I wasn't overly impressed. I didn't want to oil any more chips, so I didn't. Over the course of weeks, months, years, as you play with your chips, especially Paulsons, it'll absorb your natural oils, lotions, various other things, and they'll break in and have a really nice feel to them. And the other interesting aspect of that is, wow, interesting debate. But and you read the comments, like I said, there are people that have been doing this way longer than I've been alive. So one of the interesting things about the whole oiling debate is the attraction of dirt and dust, all right? And these do feel like, for example, the Milanos here, the lotioned Milanos, they feel a little more tacky than the non-lotioned, the unplayed with Milanos, right? These are fresh out of the package. I have packages of chips laying around. So these are more slick, and these actually feel tacky, almost to the point of like wide receiver football gloves. I don't know how many people can relate to that comment, but that's what I first thought. I'm like, wow, these are actually start getting tacky compared to the unlotioned counterpart. Now, would mineral oil give you that same tackiness? I don't know, but I haven't had a problem with these attracting dust or dirt. It's not like these are just caked in grime. You can see there's not like any black thumb juice just caked on here, right? So I haven't had any problem with keeping these clean, just not even an issue. But that's a debate that goes back and forth. To oil or not to oil. I just don't oil them because I just break them in whatever they look like, you know, they'll look like. So that's another debate. You'll see a lot of people with Paulsons who like to oil them with laxative oil, baby oil, mineral oil, all right? So competitive options, I mean, you're really looking at another Paulson. Custom chips are, you know, kind of a step down, but you do have some control over the inlay, which will usually be a plastic inlay, which is just stuck on there like a sticker rather than an actual inlay. And then you can always go down the spectrum here. Should we go? Well, let's move across here to ceramics. Now, I'm going to say some things here which may cause some controversy. Read the comments. But in my humble opinion, ceramics are some of the most consistent poker chips out there, with the exception of Paulson. Now that Paulson's no longer making consumer chips, I'm going to say, and I think I can safely say this, that ceramic chips are the most consistent as far as quality control and have the highest quality out of any chip produced for the consumer market. And they are more affordable than the Paulsons were. All right, so you're looking at 67, 70 cents, 75 cents a chip. Even customized, you know, they can be very affordable. So customized ceramics, very different than customized clay chips, can be very affordable, but they do have that ceramic feel, which a lot of people don't like, and they are hard plastic. We've discussed that in countless videos. You can see my knife example I have in my, what video was that? Nile Club? Yeah, my Nile Club video. You can go watch the Great Poker Chip Adventure, the Nile Club review, and actually shave off some of that plastic. You can see it curls and shaves like plastic. So ceramics are obviously not true ceramic, like in the sense of clay that's baked and it glosses over in this glass glaze, like teacups, right? So they're obviously just hard plastic. But as far as quality control, I haven't found anything that competes with ceramics as far as graphics, coloration, consistency, all of that. I mean, they're just a really modern solution to the need to mass produce chips. Sadly, you know, the old school clay chips are dearly loved by me and many other people. And time will tell, future will tell. Hopefully, like I said, things get better, not worse. So that's kind of, you know, I mean, I paid, what, 67 cents, 70 cents a chip. That's almost half the value of a Paulson, right? $1.30 per chip, 70 cents a chip. Wow, you know, this is one of their, you know, next competitor right there. There you have it. Another relatively expensive ceramic, Nevada Jack, again with the blue one. I really like Nevada Jacks. I mean, I feel like they did a great job with the design. This is a healthy chip. I really like these. Interesting Wild Bill Hickok design on there. You can watch my review of these. So that's another thing, you know, pushing the limits of that, pushing the cost competitive option for the top hat and cane. I love these showcases because I don't have to stick to any structure. I can just talk about whatever I want to talk about. And we already mentioned Paulson. We talked about ceramics. Then you step down to things like Milano. I really like what Claysmith did with the Milano line. They made something mass-produced that anybody can buy. That is a relatively good option. Let's roll in some of the non-new chips. These shuffle much better. You can see these are the shiny, glossy, lotioned ones. But with what Claysmith did with the Milanos is they mass-produced an alternative plastic chip that, you know, kind of has some of the clay feel. Obviously, it's not quite to that level. They do feel much more plasticky. But, you know, for me, I much prefer the feel of these chips over any of the metal insert chips, just because the quality of the edges, the quality of the molding, the quality of the plastic, that heavy metal insert makes them feel terrible. And this plastic doesn't feel good to me, doesn't feel near as good as the plastic used for the Milanos. And whether there's actually clay in these, I don't know. But they do have a nice textured feel to them. I mean, the material feels like there legitimately could be clay in there. So I'm very happy with the Milanos, and I like what Claysmith has done. Now, the reason why I zero out the Milanos, people will say, well, there are other brands of chips out there. Oh, here's one, for example, Desert Palms. Now, there's like a next-gen version of the Desert Palms, and there is the kind of the same material that they use to make the Milanos, China clay version of the Desert Palms. This is the China clay version. These are available through a couple of retailers, whereas the Milanos, you can go on Amazon. You can go to many, many online stores and buy these Milanos. They're everywhere, right? I like that Claysmith did that. So it's not just, oh, well, a couple of retailers got together, designed some chips, ordered them through the same factory, and they're selling them, right? Kind of hard to find. But I like that because it gives other people options. All right, well, everybody has, all my friends have Milanos. I want something different with that same feel. That's what, that's not too expensive. Bam, Desert Palms, right? Same China clay material, different design. So it gives some sense of exclusivity to the China clay market. Anyway, and then other options, you get into the, oh dear, the metal insert chips. I've cultivated a hatred for these chips. Sorry, Claysmith. I like some of your products, not all of your products. I like you as a company, just, yeah, not a big fan of the metal insert chips. And for about the same price as the metal insert chips, so looking at about $50 for a set of 300. Next gen, what are these? Pro Gen something, whatever they are. No metal insert, plastic chips, no metal shavings, square edges, pretty lightweight. They don't feel near as good as a Milano or a Paulson or a Desert Palm. But I use this as my traveling set. No big deal. Inexpensive. No metal insert. No obnoxious tags from the manufacturing process. However, Milanos, Milanos would make a good alternative travel set. Be a little bit more expensive, maybe twice as much. A little over $100 for a set of 300 of these. I'm having great fun here, guys. Coming out and playing with my chips. This doesn't get old. If you're out there thinking, wow, you have so many videos about poker chips. Does this ever get old? No, it doesn't. Read the comments below. There are decades, people have been doing exactly what I'm doing here, except not in front of a video camera. They just sit, and I mean, I can tell you it's fulfilling to sit here and just play around with these chips. Just, wasting time. All right. Top Hat and Cane. If you have a set of these, good for you. Dad, congratulations on your excellent taste. Like I said, hopefully in the near future, they'll come out with some more chips that we all can enjoy. Lead-free, hopefully in the future, they'll have some sort of information available to the public about production dates. We're going to make this for the next 3 years. It's a limited production set, so buy them now. I would love something like that. These are lead-free. I would love that. Something else, as far as criticisms, is this a real criticism? I don't know, but notice how the edge marks aren't lined up with the inlay. It varies. There you have it. Way too much information and way too much blabbing about poker chips, about history, about Paulson's, Top Hat and Cane. Excellent, excellent chip. Unfortunately, discontinued. Thanks for watching. We'll resume normal service with chips that you can actually buy here next week. Thanks for watching.